Alrighty, here we go. So we are on law number 29, which says plan all the way to the end. The first thing I thought about when I read that was, it was a seminar that I was listening to from Jim Rohn. He said, don't start something until it's finished. Don't start something until it's finished. He said, the guy who's a joker, a jester, who gets laughed at, is the one who starts to build a building and then halfway through that he's laying the bricks, and then he's like, so well, I don't know. So he said, what do? What does an architect do before they start something? They have the entire blueprint mapped out before they even begin the work. So I just want that to be a seed that's planted in your mind before this lecture. Begin with the end in mind. Why is that so important? Because you give yourself the gift of destination and direction. If you don't have a target, you can't even aim, right? If you don't have a goalpost, there's an actual statistic that if you don't have something to aim for, you won't even attempt a shot. Because ask yourself, to what end? Why bother, right? So if you don't know what your target is, what your goal, what outcome you're hoping for, then not only do you not get direction because you don't have a destination, but you won't even try. You won't even make the attempt towards your success. So before we even begin the lecture of law number 29, plan all the way to the end, you can see how it's just evident that if you don't have a destination, how can we get there, right? I said it in a prior lecture. If you're doing a physical transformation and you don't know what it is that you want, it's as if you're going into a car and then you don't type in the location of the GPS of your, where you're trying to drive to. Then how are we going to get there? How can we get somewhere that you can't define, right? And it's very important. This law is going to talk about specificity, not being vague. Don't say something stupid like, I want to lose weight. Here you go, here you lost a pound. Are you happy? Well, no. That's weird because I gave you exactly what you said you wanted. I want more money. Here's the dollar. Are you happy? Well, no. That's weird. I gave you exactly what you said you wanted. The reason a lot of people aren't happy is because they don't specify what they want. They're not specific in their goals, so they're very vague. And life seems to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. You get what you say that you want, So if you say, oh, I just want to lose weight, and then you do it, but you're not happy, that's weird. Very weird. I gave you exactly what you said you wanted, you're still not happy. Whose fault is that? It's not God's, it's not the universe's, it's yours. Why? For poorly defining what it is that you want. What is the solution? Specificity. Specificity, specificity. So a great exercise before we even get into the discussion of my notes is take the time to write down what it is that you want in crystal clarity. And I learned this, a great video by Peter Dinklage, he's the dwarf from Game of Thrones, and he's an elf, he's in a ton of movies. And he said, it took me so many years to give myself permission to fail. And you can tie that in for giving yourself permission to dream. How big would you dream if you knew you couldn't fail? When you write down what it is that you want, try, and I'm encouraging you to do this, try not to write down your goals in a realistic parameter. Don't limit yourself with what you want. Don't bullshit yourself. If you want this dream partner, this dream physique, this dream financial income, write it down. Don't fucking settle in your goal setting. Don't diminish. Don't play it small. Don't refuse to give yourself permission to dream bigger, right? Because the reason that we don't, it reflects a lot of limiting beliefs, such as unworthiness. You don't believe on a subconscious level, perhaps, that you're worthy of attaining this, or that you don't think that it's possible, because you're leaning on your own understanding. You're trying to figure out the how in foresight, which is a huge mistake. And I'll say that from the beginning without even looking at my notes. You're not going to know the how in foresight, okay? It's none of your business, right? The destination, what it is that you want, and why you want it, that's only your concern. That is all your concern. That's your only concern. Nothing else matters. The reason how is none of your business is because you have no idea what help you're going to get along the way of your hero's journey. You have no idea who's going to come into your life. You have no idea what circumstances or conditions are going to arise. You have no idea what failures you're going to have to endure and overcome. You have no idea the heartbreak, the going into debt, the mortgage foreclosure, the injury from your training, you have no fucking clue what's going to happen in the future. Okay? You think success is linear? No. The reason that you don't know the how in foresight is because if you knew how fucking hard the journey was going to be, you wouldn't even start. Think of Lord of the Rings, right? If Frodo knew that to be the ring bearer, he was going to have to go attack this giant spider, right? And then all the other, adversity that he had to overcome. Do you think he would even embark on the journey to begin with? Probably not, right? If we knew in foresight how terrifying, how hard, how defeating, how much despair, how we were going to be brought to the point where we didn't want to live anymore, if we knew all of that shit before we began the journey, how many people would even begin? Okay? So number one, it's overwhelming. But number two, you have no clue what help you're going to get along the way. Who's going to provide you resources? What video you're going to post that's going to blow up and get 1,000 views or 100,000 views or 1,000,000 views. You cannot foresee that. So when you're writing down your goals of what it is that you want, you don't need to be realistic. You don't need to base your goals on what you've achieved in the past. You don't need to use that as my, foundation. You just have to be honest with yourself. You just have to give yourself permission to fail, permission to dream, permission that it's possible. And I always use the anchor of this. If someone else can do it, right, I can. If him, why not me? He's not smarter than me. He's not more talented than I am. He's not a harder worker than me. He doesn't know something special that I can't learn, right? When you have that mentality, then anything is possible, right? Because you're willing to be the student, you're willing to do the work, and you'll find on your path, life will unfold in real time for you. The universe and God will conspire to help you get what it is that you want. But they can't do that. They can't help you. They can't offer the aid that you seek if you don't specify what it is that you want, okay? To begin, we're gonna go over a lot of books today. I put it in the intro and I'm very excited about this. So I said, give yourself the gift of direction by specificity of destination, with ambiguity kept of how you're going to get there. It's none of your concern. I put God's got it. And it's very, very true. And there's a good statistic that I learned from Tony Robbins that when an airplane takes off and then to landing, it course corrects over 9,000 times before it gets to the destination. Always gets to the destination. Now, I'm going to put the caveat in it because a lot of airplanes have been crashing lately, but normally it always gets safely to its destination, but it does not ever take the same path to get there, even if it's the same initial roadmap, because of turbulence, because of other, aircrafts in the air that they have to, deviate paths. 9,000 little micro course corrections to the path, okay? They're flexible in the how on the way to their destination, but they're very rigid in the destination. They've specified it. No, this is the target. I'm not lowering it. I'm not changing it. It's this or die. No. Does that make sense? Okay. You have to know where you are. You have to be honest with yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror. You can extrapolate this. What is my current body weight? How much am I in debt? What is my relationship status? Or what is your current, snapshot of your debt, your assets, your income, everything, your body fat. I don't give a shit about percentages, but how much you weigh, if you're looking for a physical transformation, where are you? And then you could even add what, garbage are you indulging in? What are your vices? Okay, I'm addicted to drugs, I'm addicted to alcohol, I'm addicted to porn, I'm addicted to video games. What the fuck is it? Be honest. If you're not honest, you're only doing yourself a disservice. You're not doing yourself any favors by kidding yourself. It doesn't fucking matter, right? You have to view it as this. That is my past. That's not where I'm staying, right? I'm not going to use the past as a baton to beat myself to death with. I am going here. I'm fixated on where I'm going, not where I've been. I'm not letting the past define me, okay? And you can choose at any time to make that decision. And then where do you want to go? What relationship do you want to have? What body physique do you want to achieve? What financial income or status or prosperity do you want to have? What abundance, right? Write down your dream life. Give yourself permission to dream big. Don't fucking settle. Don't play it small, right? And don't worry about the how, okay? But it's important that if you're ambiguous about the destination, you're going to find yourself get exactly what you say that you asked for. Oh, I want to lose weight. Here's a pound. I'm not happy. Weird. Oh, I want to have more money. Here's $1. I'm not happy. Weird. Okay? Specificity is power. Why? Because you have in your mind what's called a reticular activating system. Think of it, here's the first book. Psycho-Cybernetics is the first thing that discusses it. It's like a homing missile device. Just like in the analogy that I said how an airplane course corrects over 9,000 times before it gets to its destination, your mind works the same way. When you've based the goal that you want, right, your mind will literally filter out everything in your day-to-day, right? To try to get you focused and help you get to your destination, to your goal, to your target, where it is that you're trying to go. It'll literally filter out all this other bullshit based on your value system that you deem non-important. I can give you a perfect example. When you're going to sleep, right? The sound of traffic is probably white noise to you outside, or people walking or whatever. It's just, it's white noise. Why? Because it's not important based on your value system. So your reticular activating system, it lightens it, okay? However, if you were to hear a siren or a doorbell or a gunshot, how alert would you be immediately? Why? Based on your value system, you've deemed these as important noises, right? For your survival. Got it? So it's very, very important to define the destination, where it is that you're trying to go, because your mind will literally filter out all this other bullshit that you don't care about, that you're not interested in. Do you see? And then you'll constantly be able to course correct in real time. The universe and God will literally conspire, and your mind, because this is the beautiful part about your reticular activating system. It will work 24 hours a day. It'll seep into your subconscious. It'll go to work even while you're sleeping, trying to find a solution to this problem, trying to figure out, imagine a war game that's never ending, to try to sort of mentally figure out and calculate this game of how we're going to get to where we're trying to go, right? But you can't play that game if you don't define the destination. Okay, I think that makes sense. And then I put, don't be tunnel vision, zoom out. So I find this all the time. You can apply this to a video game. You can apply this to greed when it comes to people, emperors and rulers in time who have overextended. A lot of people, when it comes to power, because that's what the whole premise of this book is, that when they don't zoom out, when they don't consider the end in mind, when they're so in the moment, when they're so heated, when greed sets in, when they lack the sense of enough, which we're going to talk about in a minute in The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, they make so many mistakes, and so much oversight, and so much hubris is committed, right? And I can give you a perfect example in a video game. When the health bar of the enemy, or say of my team, is really, really low, I'll give you a good example, then the other people, they make so many mistakes of losing their good positioning, of overextending themselves, of wasting their cooldowns, their abilities that they can use to try to greedily go for the kill. And it's like, imagine an animal like a predator, and their lips are just salivating. They're just licking their chops to finish this meal, this instant gratification. But the person who's in that state is cool, calm, and collected, and they take advantage of this person's overstep, their oversight, their poor positioning, their overextension. I know that's a video game analogy, but people, many a king, many an emperor, have been brought to the same ruin for that exact same oversight. So the note is, don't be tunnel vision, zoom out, right? The little victory that you think you're getting here by, you use it in the context of when somebody tells a joke and you're the dickhead who says, oh, that's nothing. Here, let me tell you a funnier joke. Or someone tells you an accomplishment. Oh, that's nothing. Or someone tells you something that bad happened to them and you say, oh, that's nothing. This worst thing happened to me, right? The little gratification you think you're getting in the moment, if you were to zoom out, oh, wow, I actually lost a great relationship. I actually lost a network opportunity. I lost the respect of everyone around me. People, in their greed for instant gratification, they lose sight of the bigger picture. That's the whole premise of this. So don't be tunnel vision to make those folly mistakes. Zoom out. Next, quote from the book. For he committed what in the world of power is the ultimate sin. He went part way, leaving the door open for others to take over. And then in the book, and then I thought of Hercules, go the distance. Go the distance. And we talked about this in the last law, interaction with boldness. Number one, know where it is that you're trying to go, know the destination, the goal, the target, but don't ever do a half-ass measure. It's all or none. It's all or none. Like, fucking have the courage to pursue and then fail and then keep pursuing. Good quote from Winston Churchill. Success is going from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm from one failure to the next. Do not give up. At the first roadblock, don't say, oh, I'm just going to call it quits. At the first course correct of your flight, oh no, I'm just going to turn around and go back to LA. Fuck no. Course correct and then stay on target towards your destination. Go the distance. Okay. He never let triumph go to his head. So this is the same idea of greed and overextension. And then I embolden this. Was never tempted by the siren call of more. I love that so much, I'll repeat it. Was never tempted by the siren call of more. And I put know when you've won. There's an idea in The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel where he talks about, well, you know what? That may be, but at least I have a sense of enough. So if you think about keeping up with the Joneses, if you think about the modern world of it's just more, if you've ever seen the movie Troy, when Achilles says that same thing, he's like, I wanted what all men wanted. I just wanted more. One of the ideas that this proposes regarding the psychology of money is having a sense of enough. Tolkien, the J.R. Tolkien, is it J.R. Tolkien or Christopher Tolkien? The author of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. He said the same thing. He said there's nothing wrong or there's no shame in celebrating having a simple life. Period. And that's the whole premise of A Hobbit. It's a very simple, keep to yourself, modest, no showmanship kind of life. And he said there's nothing wrong with celebrating a simple life like that. And that comes from having a sense of enough, right? Not needing to constantly have more and more and more and more, where you're never satiated. You have no sense of enough. There's quite a power in that. And I can speak to it personally with this apartment. Like, it's not, a vast home with land, like something that I want with when I have children. But as far as my needs, it's perfect. I don't need more. I don't need bigger. I don't need more extravagant. I don't need, better appliances. It's so perfect. And I've found gratitude and contentment in this, in harboring a sense of enough. Okay. Quote from the book. Those among us who think further ahead and patiently bring their plans to fruition seem to have a godlike power. That foresight, the ability to ignore immediate pleasure, and I put AKA instant gratification, in the verses having delayed gratification. He put translates into power. It is very true. You're doing a physical transformation, right? And then you're eating the cookie and the cake and the brownie and all this bullshit. You're giving in to the instant gratification. Versus, the reason that people do that is because they've lost sight of the target, the why. Because if you knew where it is that you wanted to go, then foregoing this instant gratification, right, would be a very, very small price to pay to this end. But the reason that we get it's a quote from Greg Plitt, so buried in the trees that we can't see the forest, we give so much weight and value to the hardship and the adversity of the day, is because the why, the target, the destination has gotten hazy. So we give so much more value to the struggle and the hardship and the, temptations and all that of the day. But if you knew with crystal clarity what your why was, then harboring the ability, the strength, the godlike power that Robert Greene talks about in this law of harboring delayed gratification would be quite easy. There's a good story, or it's a little quote from one of the interviews of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he said the exact same thing. He said, people always ask me why I was smiling in the gym. You're working out for 5-6 hours a day, yet you have a smile on your face when everyone looks miserable. He said, because every rep that I did, every weight that I lifted, I knew I was getting one step closer from turning my vision, my dream, into reality. So he said, I couldn't wait to go to the gym. I couldn't wait to bench press 500 pounds. I couldn't wait to do, 100 reps or whatever the case is. Why? Because this was crystal clear. This is a quote from Jim Rohn, when the why is clear, the how is easy. I'll say it again. When the why is clear, what it is that you want, why you want it, when the destination, the target, okay? When that's crystal fucking clear, the price to pay is so easy because you have the greatest perspective that this is a means to that end. Does that make sense? But if you don't know what it is that you want, right? And that's not like a solidified target, then it's push motivation, right? You won't have pull motivation. You won't be excited, enthusiastic, because you won't feel like you're closing the gap. If this is ambiguous, or if you don't even have a deadline, huge problem. Why? Because you're not giving any value to today. There's no urgency, because you can just push this off, push this off, push this off, push this off. Right now for my prep, I have a deadline, May 31st, right? I have an end goal. So every day has value for me not fucking up with my diet, with my supplements, with my training, with my cardio, with my sleep, right? Why? How? Because I have a deadline. And I have crystal clarity on what it is that I want to achieve by this day. So I don't have any time to waste. I have exactly 103 days to pull this off, right? So that's how you give yourself value for the day. That's how you create a sense of urgency. That's how you make this right? So small. And what is this, right? This is the amount of weight that and temptation of this instant gratification. When the why, the destination, is vague, is ambiguous, then the temptation seems so large, right? But when this is crystal fucking clear, you're just like, I have no interest to break my diet, to indulge in this chocolate and this bullshit and all of this garbage, right? I'm so happy to delay the gratification for this payout. Do you understand? But this won't be a small means to pay if this isn't crystal clear. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So the power, and people who are viewed as powerful, who garner the most respect, the law of power, tying into plan all the way to the end, is giving yourself the lens, harboring the perspective of delayed gratification, of what the cash out is going to be from enacting delayed gratification. There's a really good quote, okay? Do what others won't, and one day you'll be living a life others can't. That comes from delaying gratification. That is your power. Therein is where your power lies. Next. Plan in detail before you act. And I put in parentheses as a caveat. So it said plan in detail before you act. Okay, plan, no problem. I put to an extent. I said gain clarity, yes. Gain specificity, yes. Give yourself the gift of the destination, right? And direction, 100%. But I put then act. 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 I put commit. Don't put yourself in a perpetual, permanent war game situation. You don't want to do that. You don't want to be that guy who's constantly war gaming it. Oh, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? Why? Because you cannot, no matter how many hours you try, it's the equivalent of you not starting your journey, whether it's a physical transformation or you just, going on the journey of your personal development, and you're at a red light and you're trying to see all the green lights 5 miles down the road. It's never going to happen. There will never be the perfect time to start, ever. You just have to fucking get going, okay? So know where it is that you're trying to go, but people who are waiting for all the perfect circumstances, the perfect conditions in life before it's like, okay, now I'm ready to start, now is the right time, they are going to look back on their life with regret, with what if. Because while they're waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, trying to, articulate the perfect plan, some other fucking guy is executing. Do you understand? An idiot with taking action is better, more successful than a genius with an amazing plan and zero action. Action, commitment, execution. Why? Because then you get to iterate the fastest. It's what we talked about in the last law. Enter action with boldness. If you don't start, then you can't fail. And if you don't fail, then you can't iterate and improve and course correct to your destination. Because you have the delusion that, it's going to be like this. It's going to be all green lights, right? It's going to be linear progression. Fuck no. Okay, it's going to be red light, it's going to be train track, it's going to be car accident, it's going to be the Delta flight turned over. That's maybe too soon, but that's exactly what success looks like. It looks like fucking this. It's not linear, right? But you'll get to your destination. You'll make it to until. Okay. Plan to the end. Plan to the end. Know where it is that you're trying to go. What is it that you want? Specify the target. Kept on course through every crisis. I love that line, that's why I wrote it. Kept on course through every crisis. And then I put, when you know the destination, the end target, you can course correct, and then the statistic, over 9,000 times in real time. Okay? So when you're going, and this is the importance, of cybernetics. You don't lose sight of the target. You don't lose sight of the target. You're course correcting. Oh, this happened? Okay, no problem. There's no fucking deviation from where I'm trying to go. And very important. It's going to be the next bullet point. Do not lower the target. That's what failures and losers do. This is what I want, but then I receive this failure. Now I'm going to be reasonable. It's actually the epitome of the victim narrative. That at the first sign of failure, at the first sign of struggle, now I'm going to be realistic about what I say that I want. No, that's bullshit. That's you choosing to settle in your one life. That's you choosing to go down the path of mediocrity, going down the road that's all traveled, not the one that's seldom traveled, okay? You want to be the hero. Don't lower the fucking target. Don't play it small. Don't play it safe. Don't play it realistic. Give yourself permission to dream big, right? To go for it, all in, okay? So see the ending. This is the next quote. So I hope that makes sense of plan to the end, And so that gives you the ability to keep on course through every crisis because you're constantly course correcting. And you're not committing the biggest fallacy, it's from this book, of lowering the targets. Don't do that. But there's a huge caveat that I'm going to put, and it's the next line. See the ending, and then this is a quote from the book, tolerate no deviation. Do not lower the target, ever. But then I put, but you may need to pivot. You may need to pivot. I launched in February of 2021, Rat Life, the pre-workout. I collectively worked on that. I put action behind it. It was July of 2020, all the way until April, May of 2023. So I worked on that for, what is that? Nearly 4 years. Nearly 4 years on that supplement company, okay? And then I realized that that wasn't the answer. That the key to your escape, the key to your freedom forever from the rat life wasn't in pre-workout for what I described in a prior lecture. I said education is the problem. I had to pivot from 4 years of work within that to the next thing. So that's not me lowering the target, but that's me, and it takes a lot of courage to start over. Most people don't want to do that. 4 years of work and development and iteration and improvement on a product to say, this isn't it. I'm going to start over. There's a story from Tony Robbins where Tiger Woods changed his swing. And he said that's something that no one ever does. That you've won all these tournaments and championships on this swing, no one ever goes and switches their swing. And he said he did it because this was the better option. This was the, to maximize his potential. It takes a lot of courage to start over. You're going to lose status, you're going to lose sales, you're going to lose the illusion of progress. But it's very important for you to follow your intuition, follow your heart. And I know that this university, these lectures, this is the key to freedom forever for people around the entire world, right? Education, access to this literature that people otherwise never would have. They would never be privy to this information, to these books, to this wisdom, to this knowledge, right? It's not in pre-workout, it's not in a caffeine substance. Yes, that's what's been a gift for me. The gym has been my home, my escape, has been the key to my freedom. But it's been with education, it's been with words, right? It's been with my gift of articulation, of discernment, of my cognizance, my ability to perceive, my perspicacity, right? My indefatigability. My education has been and will forever be the key to my freedom, to sustaining my freedom, to ensuring my freedom for me and my family, and for every person watching this. So it took a lot for 4 years of work to pivot. So when I say don't lower the target, I put in parentheses that caveat, you might have to pivot. You might be working for a decade on something, realize that this is not your passion. When I was creating the pre-workout, I was hating it. I really was. I was like, I'm not in harmony. I'm not aligning with my purpose, my calling from God, because it shouldn't feel like so much resistance, right? It shouldn't feel like I hate this so much, like I'm dreading getting up every day to do this, right? I felt like I was asking for a handout trying to get a $50 fucking sale from people, and I said, fuck this, dude. This is not the answer. This is not in harmony with my spirit, with what God has called me to do. So it takes a lot of courage and strength to start over, to pivot, right? That's a big course correct. 4 years of work and progress and failure and heartache, right? To say, we're going to try this course. We're going to keep trying over and over again. I failed over and over and over again. That is why I succeed. Failure is going from, success is going from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm from one failure to the next. That's a cute quote, but that's easier said than done when you put 4 fucking years of work into something. So I want you to keep that in mind, that at the end of the day, if you have to make those decisions, make the hard choice, right? Because it's so important. I don't know what book this is from, but the sooner you start, the sooner you start. There's from, I think it's from this one, the monk who sold his Ferrari. I always butcher and I always say the monk versus Ferrari, like Ford versus Ferrari. He says the best time to plant a tree was 40 years ago. The second best time to plant it is today. It's the exact same thing. As in, everyone says, oh man, I should have invested in Bitcoin 10 years ago. Well, you fucking didn't. Oh, I should have started my fitness transformation this way. You didn't. I can't change the fucking past. You can't change the past, right? The second best thing you could possibly do is start right now, okay? Whatever your purpose is, whatever your ambition is, whatever your goal is, immediately, now. Last law, interaction with boldness, now. This law, plan all the way to the end, now. action now, planning now, execution now, right? Okay. So we talked about this book. We talked about this book. We talked about this book, having a sense of enough. We talked about this book. Never lower the target, ever. Unless you have to pivot, that's different. Because you're not lowering the target. Because what is my target? It's freedom forever, right? It's impacting the world. The target didn't get lowered. We changed our approach. We course corrected in real time. Now, we're going to talk about this one. Your next 5 moves. So it's very important that when we talk about planning all the way to the end. In this book, I've seen interviews, I haven't read this yet, by Patrick Bet-David. A grandmaster of chess knows his next 15 moves. His next 15 moves on the chessboard. That's how far ahead that he is thinking. The average player, 5 moves, right? Most people, they have no idea what they're going to do tomorrow. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying to have presence, right? That's where your magic is. It's in my presence right now with this lecture, okay? Magic is in presence. However, if you don't know where it is that you're trying to go, if you're not playing this game of what I'm going to do 5 moves ahead, 10 moves ahead, 15 moves ahead, and give yourself that gift of the ability to course correct, what you do is you forfeit your power of not being at the whim of circumstances and conditions that are going to inevitably arise in your life, okay? If the why, if the how, sorry, not the how, if the what it is that you want, where you're trying to go, if that's not crystal clear, if you don't have the next 5 moves, 10 moves, 15 moves, so you can extrapolate that. What are my goals for the next month, the next year, the next 5 years? If you don't have even a blueprint of that, don't ever fucking expect to get there. There's a quote by one of the motivational public speakers that you will never land on success by accident. You don't trip your way to fucking success. It is intentional. It is intentional. Like I said, you don't need to know the how, but if you don't give yourself direction of destination, you can't ever get there. Do you understand? Okay, so that's the importance of this book. Know what it is that you want. Plan all the way to the end. Okay. I put know your outcome, and this applies to dating. So to reiterate, but you may need to pivot. We talked about that. This one is know your outcome, and then I put dating, sales, what is your target? So here's the deal. Last book, Way of the Wolf by Jordan Belfort, who, if you've ever seen the movie Wolf of Wall Street, this is the author of this book and his story that movie was based on. He talks about this idea of straight line sales. And the whole thing is, in any sales interaction, here's your starting point, and it's the second you open your mouth, the second you pick up the call with your prospect, the second you talk to the woman and engage, okay? Here's your starting point. He said, know your outcome. What is it that you want? What are you trying to get out of this close, this sale? Plan all the way to the end. As in, he would coach his sales team that before you even pick up the phone and dial their number, you know what your target is. You've executed this law number 29. You've planned all the way to the end. You know with crystal clarity the destination, the target, what your outcome is that you're hoping for. Okay. Why? Because on the way from here to here, the prospect, the client, the conversation is going to go up here. He calls it to Pluto, down here to Uranus, and it's just going to go like this, this, this. If you don't know where it is you're trying to go, you can't navigate the conversation back to here, okay? And so then your prospect, your target, who you're trying to close and what you're trying to get from whatever interaction, and you can apply this to anything. Life is sales. You're selling your children on the importance of them eating their vegetables, on the importance of them going to school, to learning, to doing well with their grades. You're selling your family, your siblings, whoever's watching this, and the importance of you taking care of your health. You're selling people all the fucking time, okay? Life is sales. You're always trying to persuade or to convince that this is in somebody's best interest for whatever end, okay? So understand that. My brother would say this, that I'm not a salesman. I'm not a salesman. That's a terrible mentality to go by, and this is the reason why. If I had a gift, right? Say my gift was fire insurance, and I saw that you were on fire, okay? And I didn't feel a prerogative to insist that my product was the best thing for you. That would be quite selfish, I would think. Does that make sense? As in, I have the solution for you, but I'm not a salesman, so I'm not going to be pushy. I'm not going to insist when I know that my product or service could help you, could save your life. But I'm not a salesman, so I won't push. That's bullshit. It's very selfish. If you believe in your product, if you believe in your service, like I believe in Rat Life, then you would feel that it's your responsibility to insist that this is the best thing for someone because you know it is. Okay? Then ability to transcends to responsibility to. Do you understand? Because your neglect, right, is you forgetting the people that you say that you're trying to help, the people that you say you're trying to care about, right? You forfeiting action on your purpose, on your goal, it's at the casualty of all these people, all these souls that are tied to you and your success. I said this in a previous lecture. We're all bound to a certain number of souls. As in you closing the gap of your potential, the consequence of that, the ripple effect, are so many other people's lives made better. But you put that in reverse. All these other people in your life, or future people to come, or people who aren't even born yet, their life will be made worse because of your neglect. And you say, Tarek, how is that possible? Because what if you're the only one that could reach them? What if you're the only one in your hero's journey, your story is the only thing that would resonate with them? You're the only person that is that person's guiding light, their nodal star, right? It's you. But we don't see that because we have no idea how many souls we're tied to. And it's one of those sort of great mysteries. But don't underestimate the casualty of your neglect. And I always look at my social media, who watches my stories, or anyone who I've met in my life, and I say, every single person's life of all these people that you care about, all these people that you know, all of their lives could be made better if you pulled this off, if you escaped the rat life, if you achieved freedom. You would be a blessing to countless people. So it's not your ability to do this, to be consistent with these lectures. It is your responsibility, because you're not going to lose sight of all these people that you know you care about, that you say you care about. You're going to prove it with your actions and your execution. Okay. So does that make sense? Now you say, Tarek, how does this apply to dating? I'll give you a perfect example. So I would always do this. Whenever I would go into an interaction with a woman, I would ask myself, what is your outcome? What are you wanting? Are you trying to get laid? Do you want their phone number? Are you trying to get a date? Why is that so important? Because statistically in sales, you don't close the sale until like the 7th proposal. I learned that when I was a personal trainer, that it takes like the 7th follow-up phone call on average to close a sale. So you bring up what it is that you're trying to, accomplish throughout the conversation, throughout the engagement, several times, right? It offers pre-suggestion. It offers course encouragement and direction. Like if you're trying to get their phone number, you start with, teasing them about it, but you're giving the your request early, and then it allows for objection. Then it allows for overcoming that objection, and then do you see how you're constantly trying to navigate from where you are to your outcome? But if you don't know your outcome, then you won't even propose what it is that you want from the jump. There's a good scene in Good Will Hunting. This is a perfect imagery for this for you guys, where say his target was a goodnight kiss. Okay, a good night kiss when he's on his date with that woman. And he makes the joke. She was like, I know what you want is a good night kiss. And he was like, a good night kiss? I was hoping to get good night laid. And then it makes her laugh. And then she's like, well, what if we just get it out of the way, like to begin with? So do you see how here's the interaction, and this is just an example. What is it that I want? Let's pretend that what he wanted wasn't to get good night laid, but that's actually a sales tactic where you make your ask so high that what you're actually going for seems like nothing by comparison. It's actually a very, very good, contrast sales tactic, that you make this seem so much smaller from this ask. And then he gets to the destination. How? By using jokes, by breaking patterns, by offering suggestion, but that's from having the end in mind. Now you could argue, oh, Tarek, he didn't broach that at all. It was her that had that idea. I fucking understand that. I've seen the movie. It's an amazing movie. But you understand my point. It was an example if that was his target. Okay. Does that make sense? See, guys fuck this up all the time. They're like, I don't know what it is that I want. Okay, then how are we going to get the person that you're trying to persuade or influence or negotiate with? How are we going to get them to the destination that you have not defined? Oh, I'm going to figure it out while I'm on the call? No. Know your outcome before engagement. before you ask, before you pick up the phone, before you go up to the person. What is it that you want? What are you trying to get out of it? Are you just trying to get a confidence boost? Are you just trying to make them laugh? Are you trying to get their phone number? Are you trying to get them to buy your product? What is it that you want? Plan all the way to the end. Okay. Know your outcome, dating, sales, what is your target? Last line. Be open to new routes towards your goal. How is none of your business? And this is the secret formula. Ready? It taps into the success cycle of belief, potential, action, results over time. Clear objective plus massive action over time and constant iteration, constant course correction equals success, equals you breaking through, equals you achieving until. I'll repeat it. Clear objective. Plan all the way to the end, law number 29, right? Where is it that I'm trying to go? What is my destination? What is my target? What am I trying to get out of this interaction, this sale, this interaction with this woman? Excuse me. What is my target? Clear objective. Massive action. Failure, 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 failure. Course correction in real time, right? Harnessing my reticular activating system. Filtering out all the other bullshit. Giving myself the gift of specificity so God, the universe, my own mind can all conspire to help me try to get to where I'm trying to go. Over time, it's not going to happen overnight. Delayed gratification, okay? And you do that over and over and over until. That is why in the mantra of Rat Life, we're all going to make it. It's not we're all going to make it. It is inevitable. It's not that we can make it. It's that we're all going to make it. Success is inevitable so long as you don't give up, so long as you don't quit. So long as you continue to try again, continue to course correct, continue to show up, continue to delay gratification, to harbor more specificity with your goals, with your target, with what you say that you want, continuing to show up as a student on the path, trying to get better, trying to improve, trying to grow, trying to learn, harboring humility, healing, not bleeding on people who didn't cut you. Does that make sense? And that, my friends, is law number 29. Plan all the way to the end. Rat Life University. This is Rat Life. I'm Tara Calix, the professor. Anyone can escape. It starts with belief and the courage to pursue it. That is Rat Life. We are all going to make it. I'll see you tomorrow.